a father-son. She did it to my grandpa.
She exercised me also.
I'm speaking of them for a minute.
I know.
I talked to you, and I didn't let anybody interrupt you. Jennifer, let me just start in here. You have 3 children, correct?
Yes.
And none of the 3 are with you.
Correct.
2 of your children are of age now, so they're able to do whatever they choose to do. But we have a daughter here that's 6 years old, correct? And she now is in the temporary custody of your parents. And you feel that you are able to take care of her and that they have fraudulently obtained custody of her.
Yes, I do.
What is the fraud?
I have never been diagnosed by any psychiatric doctors except for the one that I saw. So there's 2 diagnoses. One says I'm schizophrenic and the other says I'm bipolar. And
okay, but let me be very clear here. And I want to say this on behalf of all of the people and all of the parents in America right now that would have a diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia. That in no way precludes you from being a quality parent.
I agree.
If you did have a diagnosis of bipolar, that would not preclude you from being a quality parent. Why would that be a basis for removing a daughter from your care?
I agree with you. That was one of the things because my
We have a letter from your doctor at the beginning of 2014 that states that your diagnosis is ADHD.
Right.
And that your prescribed medication is a form of Adderall.
I don't, correct, and I don't take that anymore.
Here's the letter. January 31st, 2014, I'm writing this letter on behalf of my patient, Jennifer, and she has been a patient of mine since 2007. I have prescribed the following medications for her: attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity, ADHD. So the diagnosis here doesn't say bipolar or schizophrenia. It says it's been your doctor for 7 years, and the diagnosis is ADHD. ADD and ADHD, it doesn't say bipolar, it doesn't say schizophrenia. It says your diagnosis is ADD, ADHD. So that certainly doesn't say that you are bipolar or schizophrenic, neither of which would preclude you as a parent, even if it did say that, but it doesn't say that. So you have right here a document from your doctor.
So what it said there, that was on record for my divorce too, and
that certainly goes to your support.
I paid for an evaluation, a current one, and a psychiatric doctor has to be a psychiatrist. That's sufficient enough to evaluate me. He had evaluated me in the past, and their reason was that they were concerned that I was abusing my prescription because it's Adderall.
But you're saying you don't even take it anymore.
No, I don't. The doctor.
But if you have this, do you not need to be taking
it? It helped me, but the thing is that you get immune to it after a while. You have to take like days off, and I felt like the doctor wanted me to go on a different medication when social services was involved.
Okay, so your point
I don't
was,
want to get that. I'm sorry.
so one point of fraud is, well, you're kind of jumping around, which made me wonder if maybe you need to be taking it.
I do, because but the thing is, here's what I'd like to say. This doctor is very prominent in his field, so why are my family questioning me just because they don't agree or they have read about people abusing it? A controlled substance you can't abuse. They track it. I had the insurance cover me. Instead of asking me, they just assume and talk about it.
All right. Well, and I'm trying to help you focus on this here. So I said, what are your points that you said that they've got them by fraud? You said one is that they stated that you were bipolar and schizophrenic, which I said would not be exclusionary criteria anyway. But you have a letter here of a doctor been treating you for 7 years that does not mention that. Says what else? So we have that. Okay. What else? What other fraud?
Okay. Also, too. My family was saying different things about me. I noticed, I would say almost it sounded like a program, because that I was up all night doing erratic behavior, making erroneous statements, and they all gave information that was completely negative about me, and some of it was not true at all. And basically, I was told to be a perpetrator of domestic violence. That's a serious thing because they knew that I had no record or anything, and so they agreed that I had been, no one said anything to correct the information. And also, too, that meant that when the judge looked at that...
You said you were a perpetrator of domestic violence?
Yes, I have a history of domestic violence. That's what it says.
A perpetrator or a victim?
Perpetrator.
But you were beating up on someone?
Yes.
And were you?
No.
You never did that?
No.
Okay.
I've yelled before, and I've corrected myself. And I mean, I've been in counseling, and also there was no mention of why I was living there. It looked like
Well, that's the second thing. You said that they said you were a perpetrator of domestic violence. All right, was there a third point of fraud that they brought against you that they used to leverage your daughter away from you?
I'm trying to think of everything. They said that I had been diagnosed, and I clearly have not had a record. I don't know who the doctor is. And what's said about
Diagnosed
me
with what?
with bipolar.
Well, we covered that on number
right.
one.
But my behavior that they gave information on makes me look, it's not true. And the thing is just because I am sitting in my car so that I can avoid conflict doesn't mean I'm out partying. There were times in my life when I partied. I admit that, but I was not partying like that. I was exhausted, and I was tired of every place that I was going, everyone having something negative to say. Not once did anyone sit down and ask me what happened with my housing, how can they help like that. It seemed like everyone was gossiping behind my back, and I didn't care so much like they have to like me. But what's frustrating is that what was said to social services, even in the past, my family members have called and reported me for ridiculous things.
Okay,
and it affected me because my custody was not what they said it was also. That's another thing. They know that my parents would keep they would have my children. I feel like they wouldn't answer the phone. And when I first moved out of my place, they locked me out that night, and I had put my stuff there. And my attorney had to call the police and tell them that they can't do that. They didn't have rights. Well, why would they lock me out just because they don't like me? It's a hardship to go through when you're having that kind of thing.
We're going to bring your parents out here. Jennifer's parents here,
sorry.
Ann and Charles, are here. They say because their daughter Jennifer has exhibit irrational and unstable behavior that they have had to literally step in and save their grandchildren. Take a look.
So I don't know if she's really unstable or not. She does seem to be kind of like all over the place in this, on stage talking to Dr. Phil, and she can't really focus on one thing. I do feel like if her children were taken from her by her own parents, they must have had a legitimate reason to do so. I feel like we don't know if she's really a reliable narrator at this point, but I'm really curious to hear from her parents and from her kids, because I believe that we are going to hear from both of her children who are now adults, and I think they're going to have a lot to say about this.
Jenny is mentally ill. She lives in a fantasy world. She was diagnosed bipolar, but she doesn't want to believe it.
We never changed any of her mental history in order to gain access to the children.
Jenny is volatile, manic, moody, and irresponsible. She is always late and has trouble focusing. Those are symptoms of her mental health. She rambles on for hours.
I'm a holistic health practitioner. I'm having memories as I talk to you. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I do Chinese medicine. It accelerates it when they're in that energy of hatred and fear.
If she calls late at night, we have to hang up because she won't stop.
You doing hard. Like my dad on a train ride. Fear, shame, guilt, judgment. Big star and little star, Indian princesses. You know what I mean?
After she got divorced, my husband and I paid her rent for 3 years. While Jenny had the kids, she did not take care of them as a mother should. She rarely cooked, rarely shopped. She craves going out, partying every night, all night long. At that time, my husband and I decided to intervene. 3 of Jenny's children have been living with us for the last year.
We are not the enemies here. This was a situation that was put on our doorstep.
I want my granddaughter to be in a safe environment, and I really feel strongly that this is the best environment for her. Jenny has a court date next week. Jenny may lose her full parental rights to her daughter. That means no visitation, no contact, nothing. It makes me feel horrible. But she's not capable of being a good mother. I have no other choice.
Thank you both for being here. And you've been listening to me talk with Jennifer and ask her some questions. She feels that you have her children, particularly her daughter, and that you have gotten her by means of fraud. And I asked her to kind of tell us why she felt that way. And she said one was that the diagnoses were wrong and that things had been said about her that were not correct. I think she had a difficult time articulating everything that she feels about that. But the truth is, you felt like you had to step in and take this child because her very life was in danger, correct?
Yes, that's
and
correct.
Tell me what triggered you, because, I mean, you weren't looking to raise young children
No.
at this point. You're retired,
That's right.
and this was not something that you had on your plan. What caused you to feel like you had to step in?
Jenny was staying out at night and dragging my granddaughter with her, and when she let us keep her and we would put her to bed, Jenny would come to the door at night and ask for money. If we confronted her about it, we ended up having to call the police to get her to leave. Even since we have had custody of my granddaughter, we have had to call the police when she comes to the door to get her to leave. Which you know is true, Jenny. Your favorite psychologist diagnosed you clearly as bipolar. Daddy and I were there. And called a psychiatrist friend of hers and made an appointment for you. You accepted the diagnosis, but you refused to keep the appointment.
Okay, in response to that, I don't recall the police ever coming out. I've called the police on you guys to have my children given back to me while you kept them. That's all I have on record, and I've known you said that, but really there would be no reason to, because I've never been violent there. And I remember, yes, she was concerned that I was bipolar, as well as guide me towards my career as a massage therapist, but she's a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. And I did do the diagnosis with an excellent doctor and the evaluation, and that's not what came up. She's not, they have to do an evaluation with all these questions. I didn't have that.
She recommended a good psychiatrist, and you refused to go.
She recommended a doctor that I went to once, and he did not do an evaluation.
Were you showing up at their doorstep demanding money and refusing to leave if they didn't give it to you?
I did do that before.
Were you showing up demanding money and you take your daughter if they didn't give you money?
No, I would take my daughter, and it was weird. They wouldn't want me to take her anywhere. I felt like they were taking over my parental role before I left.
Well, but were you showing up late at night wanting to take your daughter out after she was gone to bed and
One
all
time,
that?
because I knew that the more that they kept her, in any place I was at was wrong, and I understand.
But is that reasonable parenting to show up late at night, knocking on the door saying, give me money or my daughter? I mean, is that reasonable behavior?
It sounds very abnormal, but I mean, I haven't heard of any other family knowing their daughter's going through a hardship, keeping only the child and locking the daughter out.
You guys do have a foster care agreement, right?
Yes.
And in the foster care agreement, the foster parents agree to provide this child the nurture, care, clothing, and trailing suited to her needs, right?
That's correct.
And to encourage the child's relationship with her parents and relatives, and to cooperate with visiting arrangements between the child and the parents, right? So you understand that, and you're fine with that under healthy conditions, correct?
That's correct.
And you're good with that, right?
Yes, I am.
But have you been concerned with the shape and condition in which she sometimes wanted to be with or take her daughter?
I have. And the present arrangement is she has visitation with her daughter, supervised 3 times a week. And unfortunately, she lacks transportation, so she misses maybe a third of these visitations. And in addition, she's late for just about every visitation she's there. And we hope that we can get her help. And I also heard a few moments ago that we had not provided financial help to her, whereas the reality is, over the past 5 years, I've expended approximately $200,000 in paying for her rent for 5 years, her gas, furnish a car, food, etc. And we simply hope that she can get well and be able to be a good parent for her daughter. But we don't see that happening unless she gets some type of help.
There's more to it. That mean that when I divorced, I feel that I was struggling, not working, and you did help. I was grateful.
Jenny.
But you also claimed me as a total dependent.
Jenny, we paid $2,300 a month plus utilities.
I'm grateful for that. I am so grateful. I really thought you wanted
For
my kids.
4 years.
And when I moved when I divorced for the first 6 months, I lived on my own. I made it.
You were evicted.
I was not evicted from that place.
This is a level of
Right.
detail that I think is really bogging down here. The point is,
Well,
you say he claimed you as a total dependent. I think you were beyond a total dependent. We did the math on this, actually, and I looked at money Ann and Charles have spent on Jennifer and the grandchildren. I mean, it started back in '98, wedding reception, $12,000, vacation, $6,000, bailed out of jail for DUI, $1,000, attorney for second DUI, $5,000, rent, utilities for 3 years, $82,800, one car wrecked and one given away, $6,000, unpaid cash loan, $6,300, grandchildren, food and lodging, very conservatively estimated at $16,800, approximate cash given to Jennifer over 7 years, $30,000, That all totals up, just that, to $165,900. And that's not everything. That's just some of the main categories. I think if you add all the things together, I think it's well in excess of $200,000 across time. So
Looks bad.
well, it doesn't look bad. It just is what it
makes
is.
me look, and the thing is,
It's not bad, good or bad. It just is what it is.
right, I agree. I like that. It is, but I do have to say that there's also the problem that I had is that when I stopped getting, I used to get $2,000 a month. I wish you had helped me with an attorney, because what I'm saying is that I'm saying this because I'm very much for not being a victim of anything, but you guys knew that my ex-husband was making a lot more money, and instead of maybe trying to talk to him, you would still babysit for him. Do you put that on there and not say, why are you letting him in your house doing things for him for free and then telling me how I have no money? I had given my career as a trainer for my kids. Was left with no money.
Excuse me. What's your point? Is there a point to this?
Yes, I'm having a hard time, Dr. Phil. I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll take a break. Next, we're going to add Jennifer's 18-year-old daughter, Sarah. She feels her mother is unfit to raise any children, and we're going to add her to this conversation next. And then I want to start talking about some of the things that these folks have had to react to. And you kind of wonder sometimes when grandparents step in, if there's resentment and blame, when there should be a really big thank you.
Okay, so Jennifer to me seems so ungrateful and entitled. She's sitting here splitting hairs and, criticizing her parents for the money that they've just flat out given her. I mean, I don't understand why she's not sitting here saying thank you. They're raising her children for her because she's been incapable of doing it herself. And on top of that, they've given her money. They've paid her rent. They've paid her utilities. She wrecked a car. They paid for that. They bailed her out of jail. And I don't understand why she feels entitled to all of this and entitled to even more. She has not been saying thank you. She does not seem appreciative. She just seems entitled and bitter about them helping her. And I do think there is a thing sometimes with people when they are being helped a lot, they kind of develop resentment towards the person or the people who are offering the help because they resent the fact that they themselves need help at all. And receiving the help, I think, creates some unconscious shame, and they kind of project that shame onto the person who's actually helping them and nitpick at that person and use that as an excuse to be angry with the person when really all they should be saying is thank you.
Jennifer is battling her own parents for the custody of her 6-year-old daughter. Now, Jennifer's parents, Ann and Charles, say Jennifer is mentally unstable, so they have applied to actually adopt their young granddaughter. Now, Jennifer's oldest daughter, 18-year-old Sarah, sides with her grandparents because she believes her mother is irrational and, in her words, crazy and just not mentally healthy. Take a look and then we'll meet her.
I believe my mom's mentally ill right now. It's extremely hard to have a conversation with my mother. I feel like she's talking nonsense a lot of the time.
Well, there was the black mold that you can't see behind the walls that can kill people.
For a lot of my life, I felt like I've been more of the mother and the mother-daughter relationship, and me telling her right from wrong, Mom, you can't do that. I definitely feel like it's not fair for other people having to keep taking responsibility for my mom. My mom had us, we're her children. I think it's her responsibility to grow up and take care of us. My mom has always seemed to find men that are completely willing to give her whatever she asks for. It's to stay, money, food, and just basically mooches off of them. I started living with my grandparents when I was 17. There's a lot of structure and routine that my sister and I need as children to just grow up and have a normal life. If my mom stays the way she is now forever, I don't think my sister should ever live with her again.
Okay, I'm glad you're here, and I want to hear what you have to say. My whole purpose in all of this is to set an objective and a goal to try to keep everything going in a positive direction. But you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You can't work on what is not on the list. And the truth is, you feel that your mother is not acknowledging the reality of what's going on here. True?
True. I feel like right now you're just acting like you're just not admitting to the mistakes that you know you've made. You you told me you're going to come on the show and you're going to try and get help and you're going to try and get me back. But to do that, you can't sit here and just point the finger on everyone else. I understand that, yeah, you believe some things didn't work out the way they should and some things were said about you that weren't true. But if you really want help, you're going to have to man up and say, I shouldn't have done that. I should have been a better parent. I should have done these things, and I'm willing to change and I'm willing to be that person. Instead of just sit here and say, well, they only gave me this money because of this and they only did this because of this. Just say, thank you for the help, and I don't want you to have to give me that help anymore. I want to be able to do that on my own.
Sarah, thank you. I thought that I said that, and I do admit. But what specifically I was targeting is I feel that there's a different perspective that is being left out here that is a key factor, and it's not to,
okay,
to
what
change
is it?
it.
Stop telling me what you're getting ready to tell me and just say it. What is the perspective that's being left out? Say it. What is it?
It's a cycle right now, and yes, I have made mistakes. Yes.
What is being left out?
Okay.
Mom,
No, stop. Give me, what is it that's being left out? Fill it in. Fill in the blank.
It is that in November when I moved out of my condo and the things that have happened, I was hospitalized. I had a subconjunctival vital hemorrhage. I'm not a victim. And my dad would sit in a different booth when we'd go out with my daughter with his back to me because he doesn't like me. And he says exactly the same things my ex-husband used to say. You clearly knew that I was not a perpetrator of domestic violence. You know that I was never, you found me in cars in a fetal position. You knew when I had that hemorrhage in my face. Why didn't you say, this is off? I never lost custody. He had a felony arrest.
It was wrong.
I was not arrested because it's a pattern. It's a thought of a way of life where I'm a crazy person. I'm this, and I have acted crazy. But I'm telling you, it's imperative when someone who is had it down, when there's only people around who point out the fault and exaggerate all that. It's detrimental.
All right, Jennifer.
Is what I'm saying. I'm agreeing that I made mistakes.
I'm going to interrupt you here.
Go ahead. Okay. It's illegal too in the court. It's not funny. It's not, because I'm not a victim, but they're supposed to handle cases a certain way. And
Jennifer, is your point that there have been times when you have been attacked and beaten that your family could have come to your aid and protection and they failed to do so in a timely and responsive fashion?
That's not what I'm saying is that they're leaving out information. And what I'm saying is that it does.
Well, then let me ask
you
some questions, Sarah, if I can, then, and maybe this can fill in. Has your mother attempted to perform an exorcism on you?
Yeah, she's gone to a point where when she gets angry, she will get in like outrageous, like crazy fights with people, and she would just get so angry that she's ruthless and she'll say whatever she wants and she'll make the other person so angry, and I would get so mad, and she would say things to me like, whoever you are inside of Sarah, get out in the name of the Father, Son, and act like as if I'm getting an exorcism.
Okay. Has this happened in the car?
I think it was at my grandparents' house. She did it to my grandpa.
She exercised me also.
Okay, she's done it with you too. I'm speaking to them for a minute. I talked to you and I didn't let anybody interrupt you. I'm going to ask some questions here. Now, did you get into a confrontation with her to the point that you walked to Newport?
One time I just couldn't be around her because we went to lunch and she ended up bringing some like homeless friend that she had there, and I just didn't want to be around her.
And you got in a fight with her with hair pulling and all that to the point that they had to separate y'all, give you separate rooms?
Yes, she was drinking, and I said I was going to call the police on her, and we ended up getting in a fight, and my brother went downstairs and got the hotel security, and they ended up just asking me if I wanted to call the police or just get another room, and I just didn't want any more confrontation, so I just got another room.
Okay, and you said that you've filled in a lot doing mothering of your little sister in helping out your grandparents, and you said part of the problem is that your mother just doesn't believe in school.
Yeah, she refused to take her to school, and then she didn't like one of the principals at one school, so she wouldn't take her there, and she took her out of like 2 different schools, and then finally just stopped taking her to kindergarten until that's when my grandparents really had to step in and get custody so they would be able to take her to school, because my grandpa would have to bribe my mom so he could go and pick my little sister up and take her to school in the morning.
And you said there were times where she would pick her up hours late at school or at the Y.
Yeah, she would either have my grandparents pick them up, but then she got mad at them and took them off the list, and sometimes I would even go pick them up because she could never be anywhere on time, so she would never be able to be there by the time limit of like when they can be there, and all the charges, of course, my grandparents would pay.
It's a program.
Yeah, it is true.
It's a program. It's all the same things, and I have been late.
No,
but
it's not. We're saying the same things. We're saying the same things.
I know.
Yeah, you're right.
You're leaving
but
a big
we're all
factor
telling the
out.
truth.
Okay, but did you? Well, I asked you about the factor, and I couldn't get to it. But did you tell the people at the social services agency that you felt like they were a human trafficking agency?
No.
Using children to create federal funding?
No, I quoted what I heard on news.
Did your daughter tell social services that you didn't feed her?
Yeah, that's been said about me for years. They checked my
Did your
refrigerator.
daughter tell
I don't
social
believe
services that you didn't feed her?
I don't believe she said any of that. It says she said that she's afraid of me and that I'm.
Did she tell them that you slapped her and called her names?
She said that she was afraid of me, but I don't think she said that. Other people said that they were concerned for her safety.
Did she tell them that you didn't bathe her?
Yes, I don't know if she told them that or not, but that's what she hears everyone say all the time, because that's the same thing everyone says about me. They say it so much, that's why I'm not allowed there. I requested to be the only one to bathe her.
Have you
to be
noticed
the only
that
one
she
to take care of
hoards?
her.
Have y'all
You
noticed
wouldn't
that
let
she
me.
hoards food?
I'm not allowed to take care of my child.
Have you noticed that she hoards food? She
when
eats part
she
of it and
came
saves part of
to
it?
us, she said, "Grandma, can I make a sandwich?"
She overeats with you guys.
She doesn't overeat.
I don't.
She said, "Grandma, may I make a sandwich?" And I said, "Sure," because she's a very independent little girl. And she made a sandwich, cut it in half, ate half, and I said, "Put the other half in the fridge. Grandpa will eat it. He eats everything." And
He does.
yes, he does. She said no. She wrapped it and took it to bed with her.
Okay,
I don't think
you do
would
a great
ever-
job. Thank you.
Mom. And that time in your life, you were so caught up with the mold and the apartments. When we were
Did you
at,
believe that each apartment you were in had mold?
I had it tested. It was uninhabitable. She had it on a breathing machine. I had rash. I'm not making this up. I didn't bring the documentation.
Did you say you believed that the government was actually run by the drug mafia?
No, I never said that.
You never said that?
I never said that. What I had said, which is ridiculous when I was first in the courts, is you go to these classes that are empowerment, and they teach you how to have healthy relationships, 10-week courses. Sarah did one with me. And there's things I learned that are patterns when there's someone who is that are common, and the things are associated with organized crime and whatever. And I was quoting what I learned in the classes in regards to what I thought was happening with my ex and the family. And basically, I was misquoted the entire time, and I look like an idiot. I think it's funny too, and I really am not
Well, I'm glad you're clearing that
defensive. But the thing is,
No, I'm glad you're clearing it up. That's why I'm giving you a chance to clear it
And
up.
also too, on one social worker's report, my car had broken down, which I didn't have a car, is why I'm late to my visits. And
Why
I have
don't
no
you
car.
have a car, Jenny? We
Because
gave you one.
I couldn't afford to pay all the parking tickets I got for the street sweeping. It's true. And I went to pay them, and I was a little short, but they didn't accept payments. So it was towed off private property, but I couldn't afford to get it out. So I think that for me, getting rides to see my daughter.
You not know, once you get a parking ticket, you know they'll give you a parking ticket there, right?
Right. With street sweeping, you don't know the days you can't always see, and I was looking for
There are
places to stay.
always
It's the
signs
truth.
on
It
the
sounds
street.
ridiculous,
There are
but I didn't
always
have
signs.
anywhere.
So
That's
you got
how
so
it
many
was.
tickets that you lost your car?
Yes.
Yeah. If you imagine though, I never had problems like this with my housing
Perfectly
before. I was a
good
good
car.
tenant.
Okay,
And-
there's one
and-
more family member who says he has basically cut his mother out of his life. It's Jennifer's
Yeah.
20-year-old son,
I don't like
Josh.
this.
He's going to join us next. We'll be right back.
Okay, so this is part one in a two-part episode. In this episode, we have Jen, who has not been a present mother to her children, and her two older children are technically adults now, legally, and she has another child who is 6 years old, and this child is in the process of maybe being adopted by the grandparents. And I think we can see why just from what we've seen of Jen on stage, right? It seems like maybe she has some issues with paranoia, which I guess would fit with a schizophrenia diagnosis. She seems to be living her life in a very sloppy manner, which could also be fitting if she's diagnosed with ADHD. To a certain extent, I can understand that personally. As you guys know, I'm diagnosed with ADHD, and I do have problems with time management, and things can get real sloppy real fast. I am on Adderall, and that's very helpful to me, but Adderall is not automatically helpful to everyone with ADHD. And it seems like perhaps it's not been so great for her. You know, she was talking about having to take, it's called a drug holiday, where you have to take days off so that you don't develop a tolerance and then require higher and higher dosage. So that's something that definitely happens, but none of that is a good enough reason for her to be an absent or terrible mom. You know, especially considering that she seems to have zero interest in taking responsibility for anything, seems to be entitled, and expects everyone else to just pick up her slack. You know, I'm pretty sure no one held a gun to her head and forced her to have these children. She made a choice. And like, girl, if you couldn't juggle your life, why are you having kids? But her parents have been forced to take care of these kids because somebody got to take care of them. And Jen has zero appreciation. All she has is complaints, and it really seems like her daughter is far more mature than she is. Even the daughter said, just say thank you and say, I don't like having to receive handouts and I want to be able to stand on my own, and I thank you. The daughter said that, and she still refuses to say it. So that's very frustrating. I'm definitely curious to hear from the son. I believe that's coming up in part 2, so I'm gonna watch that now. But what did you guys think about this episode? What do you think of Jen? What do you think is going on with her? Do you believe she has ADHD? Do you believe she's schizophrenic and bipolar? Do you think she was incorrectly diagnosed, or she's just in denial about the diagnoses she's received? What do you think about her lack of accountability? What do you think about the way she interacts with her parents and refuses to be grateful and appreciative for what they've done for her and her children? Does she seem emotionally stunted, immature to you? She does to me. What do you think about the things that her daughter says? You know, I think it's very unfortunate. It seems like her daughter has been parentified. And, you know, that's typically what happens when the parent is so emotionally immature that they can't be the adult. The child has to step up and be the adult for their own survival, but that can be so damaging for kids. It's very unfair. But you guys let me know what you think about this. I'm gonna watch part 2. Let me know. Drop it in the comments.